I'm creative as hell, but as broke as a rickety old ox cart, left for dead at the turn of the 19th century. But I'm on a 28-day journey to hopefully go from zero to somewhere, trying to make it creatively as an entrepreneur in this wild, wacky world. Will I be successful? Or will I be forced to go get a soul-sucking 9-to-5 job? I'll let you be the judge of that, but in the meantime, let's dive right in. Alright, welcome to Broke in 28 Days. This is episode 1. Today I just want to give you kind of an overall why I'm doing this series and kind of dive into what's currently on my plate creatively and what I'm going to be building throughout the month. So, this is my journey from going from zero to hopefully somewhere in my creative business without abandoning my authentic blueprint. That's joy, integrity, and play. Some really key pillars of my life. So a little bit about me is I'm Kev, a recovering perfectionist, and I'm a little bit cowboy, a little bit of an architect, and an avid hydrodynamic researcher because I love to surf. So what I'm going to be sharing with you all are sort of the everyday experiments that I'm running, the mental frameworks, and any actionable insights that I discover that might just help me grow my creative business from the inside out. And why I say from the inside out is I'm a firm believer that all of the growth that we see in our outer environment isn't really from the strategies that we do, but it's more so from the state of being that we embody and how we act from that place. So the one reason why, and I'll share more, is that if you can see this kooky cowboy start to find some success in creative business, then you absolutely can too. So yeehaw, let's dive right in. First, I want to show you how I feel right now, which is kind of like this. Seems like the future's coming in quick. I have 28 days until I'm dead broke, and I have to find a way to generate more work for myself in that time, and it's scary. The future's coming in quick. I just want to crawl up in a cave, but I know we can do this, so I'm glad to be documenting this journey. So a little bit of what I'm up to right now. My background is architectural design and fabrication. I went to school, I got a degree in architecture, but I love using my hands and I love building things, especially things that are usually too big and too heavy for just one person to do alone, yet I'm stubborn in my ways and I do it alone most of the time. So what I'm up to right now analogically is the project I have on the table, no pun intended, is a railing system project where it's a fixed rail with a sliding gate. You can see a larger photograph of that here in my shop. It's bigger than my 8-foot table. It's about 11 feet long. Big old rectangle. How I got this project is I started experimenting with Nextdoor. Now, I don't use Nextdoor in a business sense. I just made a personal account and started sharing stories of what I was working on and just kind of being playful about it, but also kind of incorporating some copywriting, stuff that, grabs attention from writing hooks, good hooks and things like that. And my very first post I wrote was about a handsome handrail that I did, and I kind of played on this, personifying this piece of metal. And it generated this client because I put a link on the bottom of the post to fill out an application to work with me, detailing, what's your project about, yada, 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 where do you live? And project came in, met with her, and $4,000 project, just like that. And mind you, I live in a really small town. My town only has 1,000 people on Nextdoor. And I think there's only like 2,500 people in total that live in my town. I live in a really small coastal town in rural California. So, commerce is pretty limited. So the fact that I do really modern minimalist metalworks, and the fact that somehow someone was able to find my work and commit to making it happen is pretty remarkable, So that's a testament, 990 people saw the post, which is pretty wild. That's like a third of the population of the town, and out of that one post, somebody it generated a project for me, so pretty wild. So that's one analogical thing I'm working on right now. That's off at the powder coater, so it's a service I don't do. I have to wait for it to be finished. It's a coating. The problem is I had to use all of the money from the deposit for the project to just pay for life, and I don't have enough money to even pay for the service. So once I get it back, I'm just hoping that by then another project will land. So I mean, I can always slap it on a credit card, but we'll see. It's getting dicey. And then I've just been making these mobiles in the afternoons on the beach. I've been stacking up big pieces of driftwood as high as I can. Kind of a good outlet to kind of keep me more regulated and balanced in myself right now, because it's been a pretty wild season. And just to detail a little bit more about what I do, I essentially just make rectangles. Here's a couple photographs of various rectangles that I've made, including a 550-pound rectangle that was pretty darn tricky to get into my van. I'll save that story for another day because there's a lot I want to go through. So that's the analogical side of my creative business, design and fabrication. But inside of that, I also just learn a lot about myself, the creative process, and about the inner work that it takes to be an ambitious creative in this day and age. So I tried launching this creative clarity cohort, was what I was calling it, and I got some really good feedback, and let me share that with y'all now. Here we go. I basically wanted to compile all of the sort of mindset practices and experiments, and even just like the practical, physical, I call them experiments. I'm a fan of experiments over strategies, but these kind of insight and integration techniques that have helped me really create a system for nurturing my creativity, as well as helping me stay clear in how I can channel that into a project right here and right now. Henceforth, why I'm making this video, because I just felt like I didn't have anything to apply myself to, but I was like, you know what, there's always a way that you can express yourself. So here I am. So this was going to be a 28-day cohort. Funny enough that number's popping up. For ambitious creatives that are feeling a little stuck, that wanted to cultivate deeper clarity and ship their next project, while at the same time avoiding burnout, because I know that so many creatives just go so gung-ho and they burn out. So that's what this was really geared towards. I'll put the link in the description so you can see the landing page. I'm not gonna enroll because it flopped. 0 people, literally 0 people signed up for it. And I'll dive into that for a second, but I want to hear y'all's thoughts on my landing page, because I've been experimenting with all these different, just what feels good to me. I call it like emotionally fluid copywriting that isn't overly, you gotta buy this thing, but is really attuned to like someone's emotional state and is gentle but also confident. So I'd love to hear your feedback for any of you guys that are into sales pages and things like that, what I could have done better. But so this flopped, absolutely flopped, because inside of the experience of launching this, a lot came up in my life at the time where I was feeling these deep insecurities around not feeling good enough, around feeling like a failure, around feeling like I have no right to play big and be ambitious. And I feel like wholeheartedly the reason why this flopped was I was so stuck in that state of being for about 2 weeks in the middle of my launch. So I wasn't writing any emails, I wasn't doing any marketing. I was just completely consumed and dysregulated by some stuff that was happening in my life. But why it flopped was you attract what you are. It was a direct reflection of the state I was operating in, which is scarcity. And so I wrote a whole post on my Twitter, which is where I write a lot. So I also have a website, and I take everything that I write and I put it on Twitter, and I also post it on my website. So Twitter is sort of the hub where I share all of my insights and my findings. And you can follow me. I'm just right here at @KevG. But I want to share the 5 insights that I learned from this flop of a sales sequence and a launch. So the first one is I learned that you can't control circumstance. In the middle of the launch, the craziest stuff happened in my life, which was really difficult and dense to navigate. And I just had no control over what life was going to present me. But I do have control of how I relate to it, and it still blew my nervous system to kingdom come, but I was able to work with it and start to tap into all right, what are these deep fears that I haven't looked at or haven't fully reconciled that I need to make space for? The second one was, again, like I said, you attract what you are. So I was so deeply in this kind of just trying to survive mentality that, of course, I couldn't entertain being ambitious and meeting people and wanting to expand their creativity, because where I was in that moment was very dense, like root level, like root chakra, foundational needs aren't being met. So I was just at that frequency, and so I'm going to be met with the crickets, because nobody's going to buy or sign up for a course that you're launching when you're operating in that. So a third insight that I gleaned from this experience was you have to learn to accept your shadows and really love them, because they're a part of you. You know, we tend to repress and avoid them and push them down, but in order for them to be integrated and for you to learn from them, you really have to bring them into the light and love them. And as painful as it's going to be, you know, for me it was all those insecurities around like being attached to a certain way of living and feeling like a failure when things don't work out. And yeah, so the next one was integrity is just showing up for myself exactly as I am, whatever my state is. You know, I can't control what's happening to me, and I had made this commitment that I was going to launch this program and start on this date today, whatever May 3rd it is. And so I wanted to stay committed to that at the same time as accepting this deep emotional experience that I was having. So I learned a lot about myself, and okay, I'm going to commit because it's part of my integrity to remain on track, but obviously I only have capacity for so much. I'm just going to see what I learn and what happens. And so I showed up, and then I really only had like 3 or 4 days to try to sell this cohort. But I still did, you know, even though I wanted to hide in a cave and scrap everything, it was important for me to do that for myself. And then the last great insight is uncertainty is such a great ally. But the way that we respond to it oftentimes is it brings up this mechanism of control, where we think that uncertainty is a threat, where we need to solve whatever potential problem of not knowing what's going to happen by controlling. Now that's not a really expansive self-concept. The way that I find to relate to uncertainty that really starts to bring in and magnetize more of the experiences that I want in life are when uncertainty is an ally, where it represents pure possibility, where I can trust in the unknown of, hey, I can do my best to stay committed, but I have no idea what's going to happen, so I should be completely detached as much as I can. But I should just open, because I can either close off to potential opportunity or I can open myself. And it takes a lot to open, but I've found that the more that I can open to that, the more that I really, really enjoy what life presents me. So that was my flopped cohort experience. So much more to share, but I'm going to try to be quick in this video. That was the feedback. And then the other thing that I have going on is I do creative consulting, mindset, and somatic coaching for ambitious creatives. So right now I'm only working with one high-ticket client, and our container is up to renew on May 9th, I believe. So it's tricky because we've experienced so much transformation together. Like, this client doesn't necessarily need to keep working with me. Like, I believe he's resourced enough to really be confident and capable on his own to start tackling more of what life is affording him and the projects he wants to make happen. But it would be great to work with them more, one, because to get paid, but two, to see what's possible in a longer term container when we've built that foundation and now we get to like play and build something, or we've done a lot of the inner work and now we can play with it in the outer. So that's exactly a snapshot of what's happening right now in my life with my creative business, as far as welding, fabrication, and design, to the cohort that I tried to launch that failed, that I was kind of expecting I'd at least enroll 3 or 4 people, but I have none of that income. Henceforth, here I am now making this video. So this is what I have on my plate right now. Tomorrow I'll update you with what I'm building and what I'm going to be focusing on for the rest of the month. Obviously it's going to evolve and change a lot, but One last thing is inside this Creative Clarity cohort, there are pre-recorded assignments that now I have no one to give them to. I used one module as a lead magnet for people that were curious in the work, and I've gotten really great feedback around the module around identity work and leaning into what you avoid and having a system to embrace sort of those deeper emotions and insecurities that are easy to push down, so that you can realize that there are limitations and you can work beyond them and start to just redesign the way you relate to yourself. It's a really powerful exercise. It's 3 experiments. They're free. I'll drop the link in the description below so y'all can access those, because I feel like it would be really impactful for anyone, whether you're a creative or a business owner or not. Doing that type of work, leaning into what you avoid, doing emotional inquiry has proven to be a very valuable practice and experiment in my life. So that's episode 1, Broke in 28 Days. I hope y'all like it. I'm excited to update you on what's happening tomorrow, and we'll see how this all unfolds. Ciao.